Okay, so the next part that we are going to create is the Automoblocks axle. And again, we're just going to kind of freestyle sketch some lines on here and then apply dimensions to kind of show you how you can do this real quick. As you're looking at the screen here, so as I'm in Inventor, you'll notice that the last part I did is showing up here on my recent documents. So, and that's because I'm in the project folder or the project file for the Automoblocks card. So you want to make sure that you are in your project folder. Just to double check, you'll see right here where it says projects. If I kind of scroll down, you'll see right there, that's the Automoblocks. I'm in that folder. So we're going to go ahead and create a new part now. Go ahead with Start 2D Sketch. I'm going to click on the XY plane. Now, you'll notice there are a whole bunch of dimensions to this, but we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to revolve this around the x-axis. So we're only going to draw half or sketch half of the section, and then we'll revolve it. So I'm just going to kind of go through and mimic this shape. So don't worry anything at all right now. If it looks as far as my dimensions, you can type in dimensions. So I know that this is going to be 0.33 there. I can do that if you want. I don't necessarily know where this is at yet. So let's go ahead and just kind of click that. And then I'll click this, back up a little bit more. I am making sure these are at 90 degrees. So keep this a little short. Come up 90 degrees. So bringing this down now, take a look. That's a little bit higher, so I don't want to tie that in. Let me take a look at this for a second. I hit right click and OK to get out. Now notice I got off of that line, which is okay. I'm going to show you two things here. So let's go back to my line command. I'm going to pick up on this point. If I go ahead and click there like that, where it is in alignment with that, I have created what is called a coincidence. So I've kind of locked this in with that particular endpoint too. So it's going to kind of be the same. So you want to be careful with that. We'll go ahead and keep that for now just so you can see how it might affect us. So let's go ahead. We'll do this. Now there is a taper angle on this one. So I'm going to put just a slight taper angle and I'm going to go up, over, back down now. I'm going to kind of just finish this off. And again, I'm not worried at all here on any of the dimensions at this point. So, because I'm going to go back in and fill out those dimensions later. There we go. So now I've got that closed surface. Now I can go back and start to add some dimensions. So, and you may want to kind of think about this, how you want to do that. So to get everything in place. So we know here this dimension, according to that, is 0.05 or 50 thousandths of an inch. So I'll put that in there. And then we can go off of the axis line. So to create my dimension. So if I go from here to there, this is the center, that's my axis line. And in this case, the diameter here is going to be 190 thousandths, so 0.190. However, we don't have the diameter there, we just have the radius. So I'm going to divide that by 2, place that one. I'm going to do the same thing now for this dimension. So this one is 0.125 or half of a quarter of an inch. And now from here to there, and this is going to be 0.29 divided by 2. So we've got that all in place. Let's come back now to dimension the other side. Now, I wouldn't start up here. Let me show you what I mean. If I start and go from here to there, we know that this is supposed to be half of 0.4. So if I go 0.4 divided by 2, watch what happens. It kind of knocks it way down there, and that might be a little goofy, and it might not be look right to you. You might get confused. So I'm going to go and click my undo button, undo a second time to get rid of that dimension because I don't want that dimension constraint. So So I'm going to kind of start with the ones that are closer to that axis just to keep things moving in a way that will help me understand what's going on a little bit better. So again, dimension from here to there, that's going to be 0.190 divided by 2. Same thing as the other side. And then I want to also dimension from here to there. This as well is going to be a 1/4 of an inch divided by 2, or 0.125, 1/8 of an inch. So that takes care of that. This dimension up here. Now, notice I can see when I drew this, I did not make that horizontal. I've got an angle on it. So I'm going to click that line. So I'm going to escape out of my dimension twice. I'm going to click that line, and then I want to make sure that I make this horizontal. So here's my horizontal constraint. So I'm going to fix that, and notice that also took care of this one to keep both of those perpendicular to each other. So that'll be good. So let me go back. Now I can dimension. I'll dimension from here to, again, this line right there, which is our center. And this one should be 0.3 divided by 2, or 150 thousandths. And then we're going to have to kind of delete this line out because I definitely got some issues. Let's try it. Let's see if this will work. So I go from here to there. That is also supposed to be 0.3. So, oh, divided by 2. Oh, I'm messing that one up altogether. So let's just make that 0.150. Now, notice that brings that in all together, and that is not what we wanted. So let's undo that. So just undo this all together and get this back. So let's back up to where we were here. And this is a good thing to see what has happened here. So we have this particular line, and we want that. We want that to be maintained. This line is locked in to being perpendicular, so it didn't give us the constraints that we wanted. So I'm going to click on that, and we're going to delete and get rid of that line. Now I can go back and create some of these dimensional constraints that we had before. Again, this one was going to be 0.2, or 400 thousandths divided by 2. And this line right here should be at 0.15. So let's fix that. Okay. Now, the line length here for this taper, or what this line length will be, is going to be 0.01. So, and if you look real close at that diagram or that picture, you'll see that. Now, that gives me another spot to dimension, which is going to be, instead of dimensioning the line, I'm going to dimension this endpoint. That endpoint to there is back to the 150.15. So that moves that up. Okay. Now I can draw that taper line. So click my line. I'm going to go from there and taper it. So I've got everything now done and dimensioned the way I need it. So we'll finish this sketch, and I can revolve now. So it'll pick it up, and all I've got to do is select the axis that I want to revolve. So now I'm going to show you this a couple of different ways. Let's take a look at what happens if I revolve it from this side. So I get one different type of part. Let me hit OK on this, so you can kind of get an idea of what this might look like. So kind of different ways to view that. There you go. So not what I want. So let's back that up. Let's revolve again here. Let's see what it might look like if I go from this way. So now it doesn't really like that too much. So we can cancel that one. So let's revolve that around this side. See how that changes things. So there you go. Just kind of little differences with the changes. Of course, neither one of those are the way we want it. So let's cancel that out. Come back to my home view cube screen. And let's revolve this the way it should be now, which is along that axis, and I'll hit OK, and there is part of the axle. So right now I'm going to go do a file, save as, and we were told to save this as axle. So I want you to name this axle hyphen first and last. Notice it is saving it in my Automobile Blocks folder for me. So go ahead and save that. And then we still have two more parts to kind of go through and cut this out. So you'll see on the one edge, it has a cutout. So on the one side over on this side here. So the best way that we're going to do this, I'm going to have you kind of come into the top view here. And we're going to sketch on the top or on the one plane. So let's take a look at it. So let's open up the origin here, go from the XZ plane here. So notice when I hit the origin, I'm going XY, XZ. So I'm going to click on the XZ. I'm going to right click and click this visibility button so that we see that and make that visible. Because that's the plane that we want to sketch on right now. So I'm going to start a new sketch and I'm going to select that plane to sketch from. Now, if you navigate through, you'll see you're not on the actual sketch plane to be drawing on. So it's going to be kind of hard to see what you're sketching, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So if I start a rectangular sketch here, and I just kind of come out here like this and go like that, notice I can see the part that's outside, but I can't see the part that's inside. And that's all right. We've got a tool to take care of that over here. So we'll go ahead and enter that in just so you can see this. Right here where I'm going to escape out twice to get out of the rectangle tool. Here where it says sketch 2, right click, and then slice graphics. Slice graphics, right click, slice graphics. That way I can actually see inside and know what I'm doing. Now, in order to do this, we've got to get some other features on here. So I'm going to use what's called project geometry, and I'm going to project this line to that plane. So just so you'll see what I'm talking about here. So I just projected the line, basically this, onto that plane. And I did that because I want to make a collinear, so constraint, between this line and that line. So I moved it in. So I attached that to make them in line with each other. All right, now I can go ahead and dimension this the way I need it to be dimensioned. Looking again at this, our dimension here is going to be 0.2. So I'm going to change that to 0.2. And our dimension here is going to be 0.04. Okay. Now, as soon as I did that, you see that I have moved that off of the center, and this should be centrally located as we go through. So that's not what I want. I'm gonna, just to make this easier, I'm gonna kind of keep this back here, and then I'm going to tie that in. So since we know that that's 40 thousandths, I got to first set a dimensional constraint of this line right here to my center point, and that should be 0.02. Now I can go back and change this 0.125. Oh, that's the same one. Let me escape out of this so I can get these dimensions away from each other so I can clearly tell which is which. Now I can click on this dimension and change that to 0.04. And it is centered and where I want it to be. So I'm good there. So we'll finish that sketch out. And I'm going to come over here and we'll just rotate this around so you can kind of see what happens here when I go to extrude this. Now, this extrusion will pick up on that. Notice it is joining, so my Boolean output here is a join when I really want this to be a cut. And I want to say that this is going to cut through all. So, but notice it's only going to one direction here, so I got to go both directions to cut that through both pieces, and then click OK. All right, so now I've got that exactly the way I want it, so I can rotate around my view cube so I can see it in all those different views. I'm going to go back to my XZ plane. I'm going to right click and uncheck the visibility to take that off so this looks clean. And then since I already saved this as a Axle-first last, I don't need to save that again. I can just go ahead and click the save button right here. And this part is done. We're ready to move on to the next one.